Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host, Dr. Amber Q, and today I'd like to speak about perspective. It's something that has come to me in different ways recently, and I've just had a conversation with a friend, and I thought I need to make this episode. So what is perspective? If we look at the dictionary, really, it's defined as a particular attitude or a way of regarding something, and I guess also someone, right? So that's the definition. Now, I've spoken recently about Richard Medhurst, who's an independent journalist, and I love him. I think he's brilliant. And I saw one of his videos, I think it was yesterday, or maybe it was today. Time just seems to be merging. May have been in the early hours of today. And it was his perspective on Zionism. And it was really, really interesting because he was talking about how they've tried to masquerade or dupe people. And obviously now, you know, I say this all the time, the masks are off and so many people are seeing it for what it is. So I will link his video. But he's got some amazing videos. You must subscribe to his YouTube channel and have a look if you like independent journalism, because oh my gosh, I mean, he has some eye-opening videos. So please watch his channel, subscribe and support him because he is amazing. He is, giving an impartial viewpoint. And yeah, it's good journalism. So yeah, please do that. So, so that kind of, I think, started me off. And then I was watching another YouTube video with a medic, and they were talking about mental health and cardiovascular disease. And so my mum has a lot of cardiac problems and we are constantly in and out of the hospital. And yes, we were there again this week. And it was really interesting because they were talking about that connection between the brain and the heart and how the heart is an endocrine organ. And so whilst it's pumping blood and beating, it's sending not only blood flow to the brain, but also hormones and neurotransmitters. And he was saying that this affects our brain and affects our mental health. And he was citing depression, dementia, and things like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and things. He basically in this interview just said that, for example, if you have a broken heart, that you feel depressed. He did say that they don't have all the answers, so I don't know whether they're going to do a different episode on this. And I guess they don't really have time. It's sort of at the end of the interview. So that's really interesting, I think. And I do feel, because you do hear of people that die of a broken heart. And I myself have had several patients where I used to see, say, for example, if you've got an elderly couple and one person passes away, the other would pass away within a year to 18 months. And I noticed that, like with several of my patients. So it's really interesting, isn't it? So kind of our mental perspective can affect, our longevity, right? And we know that. We know when people just give up on life. And that's the other thing that I've seen actually with elderly people. I have seen, and obviously this was just my case mix of patients, but I'd seen when patients had actually given up on life, you could actually see the life force ebbing out of them. And then you would hear later on that they'd passed away. And, so it's just so fascinating, isn't it? The perspective that we have on life and just everything, the situation that we're in. And I feel that, it's just so intense, isn't it? And if you think about the research in terms of an individual, if you have even just one person in your corner, one person that you perceive has got your back, then you're okay in life. That's all you need. And if you think about it, some mornings you wake up and you feel fine, you feel great. Some mornings you wake up, you have a different perspective on life and you just feel awful. And generally when this has happened, it's not because your life has changed. It's just because of the perception that we have about our existing life. And I think that when I think about when I feel lonely, I realise that in that instance, I'm feeling in that way because I perceive that no one can understand the unique position that I'm in. Because we all know that we feel lonely, don't we? Whether we are alone or whether we are with others. And that's a very isolating experience, feeling alone when you are with others. And whether that's in an unhappy relationship or, I don't know, being maybe in a place where you think others don't understand you, like in a group of people or something. But that perspective of feeling misunderstood is a very lonely experience. And of course, it's something that we all feel at all ages. So teenagers feel like that about their parents, don't they? Quite often. And parents feel that about their teenagers. That perspective of, my gosh, I just don't understand them. And maybe they feel, maybe a single parent especially feels lonely unless they're part of sort of, I don't know, some parent group. Or perhaps they feel better when they go to parents' evening. And equally, those who are just super accomplished, of course, you know, we can all feel, I'm saying we can all feel as well that perspective of feeling alone. And I think it's really important to have a good support system. I feel so blessed because, of course, when you think about perspectives in terms of getting a second opinion on something or discussing something with a friend, if you've got a great support system, whether it's a friend, partner, children, whatever it is, then that's fantastic. And as I said, you only need that one person to support you. But of course, what I've noticed as well with my coaches is they're all very accomplished people and they do have that support system. But even so, there's that unique perspective that, okay, I want to achieve this, or I want to be this in the future, this kind of person. And sometimes the people around us, they're so ingrained within the kind of normal pattern of daily life, they can't see where we want to be. So maybe it's hard for them to have that perspective about us. And I think that's where it's really great to have someone that's cheering you on, if that makes sense. And of course, the perspective on Palestine has changed. The false narrative has dropped. People see Zionism for what it really is. And people see that Palestine and Palestinians have been oppressed and have been suffering ever since, 1948. So 75 years or so of oppression, if not more. So, yeah. So perspective, it's so important. So important. What perspective do you have on different things? And I hope, whoever you are, that you're not lonely. If you are lonely whilst listening to this podcast, feel free to reach out. I almost feel as if this is like a Sleepless in Seattle moment, but it's true. Please do reach out if you feel lonely, because I can help you with that. Until the next episode, because we don't want people to be lonely. So, I can help you with that. So until the next episode, let's all create connection with ourselves and others. And let's not just change lives, but let's save lives. And as always, free Palestine.